keep on kissing babies and hugging fat girls. You are a sniveling little suck-up sellout full of suffering succotash, son.
It's me, Austin! Oh, son of a bitch! What? It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
And you t-shirts are too tight too, Billy! And you book a match with me against Ryan Keelan! Look at me! I'm a total package! I will rip him apart! I'm pissed now!
Where to, Stephanie?
WrestleRoasts on ad-free shows and ATC. Welcome, everybody, to WrestleRoasts. I am your host, Dan St. Germain. I'm here with Mike Lawrence, Robert Karpeles, Scott Chaplin, and our producer, Zach. If you're new to the show, we basically just break down wrestling every week. I'm a huge wrestling fan. Mike's a huge wrestling fan. Robert's a huge wrestling fan. Scott's everybody I've said on this podcast is a huge wrestling fan. We all like different things about wrestling. This is basically like, you know, like if one of your sweaty group threads became a podcast, folks. But we're glad you're here. And
it's not an analogy if it just is what happened.
Also, Dan's intros are a great argument for scripted promos.
You know what? That's
I'm a wrestling fan.
Right. No,
He's
actually, Mike, you're right. Let me do this again. Let me do this whole thing again.
No, it's fine. This is good.
No, this is awesome.
Because we know that Conrad only listens to the first minute, and he's like, all right, you guys are safe. We're fine. And then as soon as he stops listening, that's when the good stuff comes out.
All right. Well, anyway.
You know what else is safe and fine? Blue Chew.
I'm going to send you a skylight photo of my dick.
We originally were going to call this podcast Something to Sports Entertainment With, but we didn't pull the trigger on that. But yeah, we're not the podcast that's going to like bring you like the story of like what Briscoe and Kurt Hennig did in Minneapolis in 1980. That sounds like the beginning of a 10-part true crime documentary. But
lots of cocaine. Yeah.
And we're not going to give you breaking news.
No, we're not going to give you breaking news. We're just going to comment on some of the funny shit that happened this week, some of the more ridiculous shit in wrestling, and do a roast of a professional wrestler. This week, it's Bret Hart, folks.
And it's going to be coming up at the end of the show, right?
What?
Oh,
well, it's going to be coming up
do.
later in the 10 count. Not quite at the end, not quite at the beginning. We're gonna give it a sweet spot, but we're going to open with number one.
No, we said you need to advertise the person we are interviewing later on in the show.
Yeah, that was the I was trying to do the.
Can we just do this intro over again?
No, you coward!
No.
I want to do it over again. Guys, this is two things. Let me do it. Let me just fucking do it once, okay? Two things I fucked up. I can't do this. All right? Jesus.
We'll do it live.
We're live, pal.
All right, welcome everybody to WrestleRoasts. I'm here, your host, Dan St. Germain. I'm with Mike Lawrence. I'm with Robert Karpeles. I'm with Scott Chaplin, and I'm with our producer, Zach. Each week, we break down the events of the wrestling. Oh, fuck this. Let me do it again. I'm sorry. I've given up like 3 times.
Zach,
This is all staying in. This is all staying in.
This is the YouTube clip.
All
Yeah,
right.
this is better than wrestling in 2021, Dan. We're keeping it.
All right. Later in the show,
we've got to see Bud Dwyer host a wrestling podcast.
Welcome
to WrestleFest. This is great.
Not only do we have the roast of Bret Hart later in the show, we've got the creator of Dark Side of the Ring, Evan Husney. It's going to be a blast. Let's get to the 10 count. Let's get to the 10 count, folks. As number one, is this Shaq match going to be worse than Kazam? Now, to answer this, I am going to first bring on somebody who not only saw Kazam in the theaters, he owned Shaq Fu for N64, and that is Mike Lawrence.
I already have to correct you, Dan, in that it was I rented it on Super Nintendo, but then I bought it for Sega Genesis because it had 5 additional characters.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I did see Kazam in the theaters. He does turn an evil Persian man into a basketball at the end and slam dunks him down a garbage disposal, murdering him. I do not think this match will be better than Kazam. Kazam was entertaining. It was so bad that it was fun.
You think you're gonna have more fun watching Kazam than this match?
I would have more fun watching Kazam now than this match because at least there's a story.
Let me tell you something. In this movie, Kazam, it's not just Shaq who's in this movie. It's Shaq. It's the Brat. It's the guy that Vito slept with in The Sopranos and then killed himself in real life. And one of the kids that was molested by Michael Jackson. I'm not joking. That's the all-star cast of this movie. It is a real waiting room of Beetlejuice.
Yes, and they all have more interesting backstories than Red Velvet. What is your point?
It was also directed by the guy who played Starsky in Starsky and Hutch, which I didn't know until right now.
Is he the same guy who was in Salem's Lot, or is that Hutch?
I'm not fucking IMDb. I don't know. Look it up.
Well, I don't know. It's just a Stephen King world, the wrestling world. Maybe they overlap. Maybe the comedy world overlaps too, Robert.
Kazam is part of the Stephen King universe. It's the stand. This is how the stand ends.
He's in the third Dark Tower. He
actually does a rap song with Pennywise.
Yeah, there we go. But I was about to say the reason that I think this match will be better than Kazam is that this match has Cody Rhodes, and he's a good wrestler at least. Like Kazam didn't have. I mean, they had the one lady from I think Sons of Anarchy that was in it, but it really didn't have any good supporting players. So that's my argument for why I think the match will be better than Kazam.
Yeah, but okay, so Kazam sucked and it didn't work at the time. And that was Shaq at his peak.
Yeah.
I mean, we're screwed. We're just screwed. This isn't a storyline. This isn't an issue. This is what happens when Shaq does things. When Shaq does things that isn't play basketball or be funny on ESPN, when he tries to act, when he tries to remove himself from being himself, it eats absolute shit, no matter what.
Here's what's important to talk about this, and I guess this way we don't have to talk about this later when we're covering AEW.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe this is real, but we not only got a handicapper, but we got the best ever. So I got to ask, how are you so good at handicapping these games? I mean, 4-0, that's quite a streak already.
Well, let's talk about every pick I've given this year in the NFL as an example. 23-8. Every pick I've given this year. 4 weeks in the bag, 23-8. There's nobody in the country that can match what I do, but I always make sure, because anybody, Conrad, could make up anything. They could tell you and blow smoke and tell you, oh, I'm the greatest. But I am independently monitored and documented, so nobody could ever question what I say and go, I don't believe it. I send every pick to an independent monitoring and documentation service that has to get the pick before the game goes off and then publishes it after the game goes off so anybody can see what I gave. And those picks for the year, every NFL pick so far, 23-8. And I think it's because I do more homework than anybody else. The average guy or gal watching this podcast, they don't have time. They have a career, they have jobs. They might read the newspaper or go online and see something, but they don't have time 80 hours a week to study the games. That's what I do. And I have a crew of guys behind me, my consultants, who every week we get together 3 times a week and they throw their ideas at me. I throw my ideas at them. And then I pick the final 5 plays on Saturday and Sunday in college and pro football. So, I mean, I've got a great team behind me too, but we're all doing together hundreds of hours of homework. So you don't have to. It's all at vegaswinners.com.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to vegaswinners.com right now. Let's win some money.
But they did a video package last night. This feud, the first promo that Jade Cargill cut was November 11th. So this is almost 4 months in the fucking making. They did a video package there's no story though.
Yeah,
They tried to
long
make-
term, no storytelling. I've never heard of this. It's insane.
Like one woman poured water on Shaq, but now there's like another woman that's like fighting against him and Jade. You never saw why him and Jade are friends. The whole thing is a mess, but that boy just wanted a friend and a genie, and he got both. So Kazam was way better.
Yeah, but I think Cody might get both too.
Robert, do you think
I'm going Kazam because I've never seen Kazam. I will never see Kazam, but I know I'm going to have to watch this fucking match. So by default, knowing that I don't have to watch Kazam is
just
better
to
than
get
this.
you through the night?
I'm gonna love this match.
Like I know originally we talked about like what is this the most embarrassing thing Shaq's ever done? I've seen Shaq do the Icy Hot commercials, the General commercials. He endorsed Chris Christie in a video. He replaced Papa John. Like he's got a litany of really stupid decisions that he's made. This one's more depressing than anything else because there were so many better opportunities for Shaq to wrestle in WCW when he showed up with Hogan, in WWE with Big Show, like all these chances that they had before. And this is the match we're finally getting with Shaq. It's like the Sting Triple H match at WrestleMania. It's like, hey, we're going to get Sting in WWE, but this is what you're going to get.
Hey, AEW would never give us a disappointing Sting match. Come on.
All right. Number two. Speaking of AEW's getting it hard on this podcast, by the way. They're getting it real hard.
It's because we watched the show.
No, it's a very good show. I enjoyed it.
I love AEW, and I thought it was a good Dynamite this week.
You can't see it, but Scott is dressed like the guy who made Marco Stunt's fake ID.
Number two, win Tony Khan's money. What do we think of Big Show signing at AEW? Who's the next AEW that Tony's gonna sign? Is this the worst signing they've had? Is this a bad? I think it had. I mean, I'll start. I think this is the worst signing that they could have gotten. And I mean, like, I just don't understand. First off, like he's one of those guys. He has the Undertaker's personality about new guys in the business, but without Undertaker's talent. You know, like,
is this true? I don't remember the Big Show issue. Like, what does he do?
What do you mean? Well,
I don't know. He's mean. Is he mean to the guys?
No, every
backstage?
time. No, he's not. Well, he's apparently a bit of a. I don't know, but like whenever he's on, like, whenever he's on one of these podcasts, one of these old timer podcasts, it's all about like these new kids. They don't understand psychology. They can't draw money and all. And it's all this stuff. It's like, dude, the only reason you do anything is because you're 8 feet fucking tall.
Yeah, it's because you're a goddamn freak.
Yeah.
You got to put in your time and win the world title on your first night, like Big Show.
Yeah, it's like they can't drive a monster truck against Hulk Hogan and throw him off a roof.
I feel like we should just roast Big Show. Maybe we should do that next week.
Oh, well, funny you should mention that, Robert. We're roasting Big Show next week. That's right. Next week's the roast of the Big Show. Come for Bret Hart. Stay next week for the roast of Big Show. I just don't know how the hell did Big Show.
Sounds like Sonny. Come for Bret Hart. Stay for the Big Show.
I just don't know. Like, how did this signing happen? Do you think like Jericho's like Tony, you can fit in the palm of his hand? Like, I don't know. Like, Robert, what are your feelings about the signing?
As soon as I saw this signing come out, I wanted to gather you guys up and just record the podcast then, because my wife didn't really want to keep hearing about like Paul White and AEW. She's like, cool, we have real like lives and jobs. Here's the thing. This is by far the dumbest signing AEW has done. And I want to clarify something at the top. I genuinely love the idea of AEW and want them to be successful. And when I'm critical of them when we break down the show, it's because these are things that are correctable. They can do better down the road. That being said, I have always criticized them for doing the worst things WCW did and the worst shit TNA did, and signing the Big Show is a nice combination of both of them. This is a great way to show your roster. The guy that we care the most about is a 49-year-old, and we're signing him because we know it's going to piss Vince off. Vince isn't going to care. You don't need to poke the bear with Vince McMahon on this. You're signing Big Show to wrestle, which is a terrible idea. You're signing him for commentary, where all you're going to get is labored breathing for a very long time, and that he's going to be an executive and creative. Big Show is not a creative talent. There was nothing Big Show did during his career that made you think this guy really understands the business and is going to come up with great ideas for other people.
Come on, he dresses Baby New Year.
He turns heel and babyface over the course of a given night. Like he's one of the worst written characters ever. And if it wasn't for the fact that he was 7 foot whatever and they paid him so much money in a guaranteed money contract, they would have cut him a long time ago. Big Show hates doing TV. The quote came out from a couple years ago when he talked about, he's like, I wish, I like going to house shows and wrestling. TV day is the worst day because you're there for 12 hours and some idiot who never wrestled before is giving you bad ideas that you have to go and do on television.
So how was working with Big Show, Robert?
Big Show was one of there are very few people I will genuinely say were true pricks to deal with. Every time I dealt with Big Show, he was a prick. And I get that he's big and it was uncomfortable and this, that, and the other. But when I would come to him with creative ideas from Vince, it was hell. Getting him to go do pre-tapes was hell. We did a show at the ECW arena that he was on that they were like, hey, we just need you to say for 30 seconds where we are. And he's like, I'm not talking to this dickhead. And I had to go get Paul Heyman, like it's his dad, to come over and be like, Paul, it's okay. Give him the 30-second quote that he needs so we can put this, because it's going on, national fucking television. And the whole idea of TV is to make you a bigger star. And when he doesn't understand the fundamental basics of television, not the greatest thing to be signing. I think this is not the worst signing ever. The worst would be if they sign Jim Cornette, because it's going to make them look like they're like appealing to the people who hate them the most. But this is a great symbol to the
They're never
roster.
going to sign Cornette.
I know they won't, but you asked what the worst one ever.
Hate those guys.
They do, but it's kind of like Tony. I feel like Tony's now collecting life-size version of action figures. Like if Mike Lawrence ran a wrestling company, he's like, I have to get Duke the Dumpster Jose because I have this Jax figure that he has to sign. Like
what did you say that AEW has just become Tony Khan's cameo?
It's his cameo. This is like I want Big Show to come to my birthday party, so I'm going to hire him. WWE didn't re-sign him in January to the amount that he wanted. When he went there for Legends Night, there's this story that he was not happy with Randy Orton making fun of him or whatever. This came down to WWE didn't want to keep paying him for this. His Netflix show is gone. There's very little you can really do with him. But in AEW, they're going to treat him like he's the greatest thing ever. And they're going to realize a couple weeks in, after he breaks all the furniture, he's not worth it.
And
that's what they said about Clifford. And he saved the fucking day, dude.
One last thing I want to point out, just because I love how big, because they think this is being petty. They moved into the alumni section, and I went to the WWE alumni section. Cody is listed there as Stardust, which to me is my favorite thing ever.
That's hilarious.
Everybody
that's
else,
a scoop. I don't know if people know that. That's crazy.
Is that intentional?
Oh, that's 100% them being vindictive and intentional, and putting him there as Stardust.
And Robert's like, oh, and also he wasn't good as Captain Insano and Waterboy. He fucking sucks. I think that
is this Mike, do you think this is the worst person they could sign besides, like, I guess, signing David Benoit to win the title his first night and dedicate it to his father?
What if he's good, though? What if he's a good wrestler, Dan?
Well, that's true. He's good. He's apparently a nice guy. He could be a good wrestler. Who knows?
Yeah. I would say
backed off that in a hurry. Hold on. We don't want to offend. Future Hall of Famer.
Read here. I think the bigger problem is, why the fuck are they doing another YouTube show? Like you guys put like Isaiah Cassidy in a 14-minute match on your flagship show. Like you don't.
I like Isaiah Cassidy.
Yeah, but that match shouldn't have happened for that long. He's a jobber.
That's a lot of AEW.
He's not a jobber. He's a younger guy. He's not a jobber, dude.
Yeah, but he's
not a Peter Avalon.
He should not be wrestling 14 minutes against an upper mid card guy that you're trying to build in a pay-per-view match.
Well, I mean, okay. We'll talk about that later on. I disagree, but
but I just think that, yeah, like that part of it, yeah, him and commentary. It's also, Robert, I think mentioned like the Shaq and Big Show of it all. I think when we were talking about Shaq, like, if you already had him like announcing him like this, like just have him show up in that match. That match is gonna be fucking bullshit anyway. Have a Big Show cameo. At least do something goofy. Like,
yeah, they absolutely should have had him come out, especially because Cody, he got hurt last week or something. I mean, I guess that he's in a ladder match, but they could have played off of that and been like, I can't compete. And then the Big Show comes out and it's like, wow, you got that match that no one really ever wanted to see, but WWE acted like was going to happen and they couldn't deliver.
I just think that it's like, at least that'd be something, but when you do like a press announcement and this is the press announcement and it's, they can't even call him Big Show. So expect Jericho to do it on commentary multiple times.
Yeah.
And yeah, that he's doing commentary is just something that he's never done. And it's like, it's also, the last thing I'll say about it is, I don't think it helps that he is bigger and more intimidating than their entire fucking roster. Like when your commentator is larger than all the guys wrestling, I don't think that's the best look.
Yeah, I think you got to keep him in the chair. Only have, stand him next to people who are supposed to look really tiny. But him like meeting Lance Archer backstage is not going to be the cool look you think it's going to be.
No, I mean,
him meeting fucking Brian Cage, impossible.
Yeah, if you put tassels on his legs, you'll think they're the Young Bucks.
Dude, what if they use him? I guess they can't because he's a commentator, though. I was gonna say, sparingly, but
well, they're gonna use him. Apparently, he is wrestling. He is.
They
wrestling.
said he got his wrestling license.
Look, remember he did main event WrestleMania last year. He was the secret match against McIntyre that they aired on Raw the next night on Raw. But like he wrestled Drew last year,
the moment after he won the title. Yeah.
There's no way they're not going to have him wrestle. But I think the problem is you put him in there with just about anyone, and he's going to look towering over a Lance Archer or any of these other quote unquote big guys that they have. And he's going to know that I can get in there and I can wrestle and I can make a lot of money for it. Him and Jericho are going to want to mix it up and do stuff. He's going to be part of it. And this is what TNA did years ago, because you sign guys like Foley and Booker T, and you can't resist putting them in the ring because they're theoretical stars. And Big Show makes a lot of their roster not look like big stars.
Yes. And it was also, it was funny when they were talking about, like, he got his wrestling license. It's like, all you have to do to get your wrestling license in AEW is have a brother who is also a wrestler. It doesn't take that much. Like, he got his wrestling license from the same guy who said, okay, Matt Hardy, it's just one concussion. You can keep going.
Well, let's get to number 3 and let's talk about the biggest star in wrestling.
Speaking
according to that star in wrestling, and that is Bret Hart, everybody. We're going to do the roast of Bret Hart. We're going to go at random. Zach, pick your first host to do their first Bret Hart jokes.
And right before I do that, I just wanted to shout out Adam Lamb for the suggestion on the Patreon.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam. Perfect suggestion.
Oh, thank you, Adam.
We all assumed it was Bret that picked this one.
I want to start with Scott.
Damn. Okay, here we go.
Spot, baby.
Bret Hart, ladies and gentlemen. Bret Hart is the Eeyore of pro wrestling. His days in Stampede have been called a more depressing stampede than the one that killed Mufasa. He was born July 2nd, a cancer and a crab. One of the greatest ever, and all thanks to his father. Because remember, he couldn't become the hit man without first being a hit boy. Y'all get it? He was beaten as a child by his father and doesn't know it because he thinks it's under the idea of pro wrestling. It's insane. His father was like a child molester. Anyway, Bret handed sunglasses to kids so they too could hide black eyes their father gave them. Shawn Michaels got sunny, so Bret chose cloudy. HBK couldn't stay away from him because he had an addiction to downers. Bret constantly pisses in his pants because he refuses to drop the belt. This is the worst one, but hey, what are you gonna do? Yeah, I know. He's more concerned with wrestling wins than friends lost. Bret, he's married to a black woman. I didn't know that.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, he's married to a black woman. At dinner, you can hear stories about being held back, being mistreated, and blatantly being screwed by the system. Then Bret lets his wife speak. Here's a quote from him. He said, "I was recognized as being an artist and a storyteller. If Hulk Hogan was the Elvis of wrestling, I was the Robert De Niro." Are you talking to me? No, Bret, no one's talking to you. You're just experiencing side effects from the stroke.
Oh my
All right, that's my time.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, ending strong, Mr. Chaplin. Ending strong.
Am I picking who's next?
Yes,
sir.
Robert.
Jesus, thanks for making me follow that. I will point out I am the only non-professional comedian here, so when this goes south,
Hey, if it's in terms of you have to be paid to be a professional, there's two here, baby.
All right. Bret Hart is paranoid, he's insecure, and he thinks everyone in the business stole his ideas. All due respect to Goldberg, but Bret Hart is by far the most Jewish wrestler ever. From an early age, Bret's father, Stu, taught him that if at first you don't succeed, keep trying, which is why Stu had 11 children before getting one right. Bret Hart is obsessed with being the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Better matches than Ric Flair, a better babyface than Hulk Hogan, and a more horrifically tragic family than the Von Erichs. Bret Hart was in the documentary Wrestling with Shadows, which is also what he called his feud with Bad News Brown.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Bret Hart was criticized for finishing people off with the same 5 moves of doom, which is why he's been divorced so many times. Bret Hart is famous for relying on his 5 moves of doom, while the tree he smashed into only needed 1.
Jesus Christ.
Bret Hart suffered a career-ending concussion, a debilitating stroke, and prostate cancer. Proof that even Jesus was a Shawn Michaels fan. Vince McMahon has screwed Bret Hart more times than he screwed Linda. And unlike with Linda, Vince was more than happy to film it. All right, that's all I got. Thanks.
Oh, man, Linda gets it bad every week.
All right, Dan.
Oh, me? All right, Here we go. Roasted Bret Hart, folks. The only place Bret drew money was in Europe, which makes sense because, like the French, he thinks he's better than everyone, and like the Irish, he's an embarrassment to his family. The Pink and Black Attack was the nickname of the Hart Foundation, not something Lars Sullivan warned us about on 4chan. Bret began training as a wrestler at 9 years old and already started giving back to the business by introducing Jerry Lawler to his wife. Jerry may be the one guy Bret hasn't buried. It's amazing more wrestlers don't hate Bret, but I guess it's impossible to find out someone wrote shit about you if you can't read. Bret's hair is so greasy that Bruno Sammartino thought it was his wife's pussy. The greatest moment in WWE history was the double turn that happened at WrestleMania 13 with Bret and Austin. Not the triple turn at SummerSlam 92, which is when Bret put Davey on his stomach so he didn't choke on his own vomit.
Oh my God.
Bret could totally start wrestling again if he wanted. It's just like getting on a bike. Oh, wait. After Bret's stroke, otherwise known as the day his work rate caught up to his promos, his personality got so much shittier that when he came back to WWE, everyone backstage mistook him for Robert Karpeles. It was depressing when he got tackled at the Hall of Fame. The last time I've seen the wheels fall off that fast during a promo from someone in the Hart family was when Dynamite Kid tried to give a speech at his daughter's wedding. Bret was considered the Renaissance man of the family, but have you seen his brothers? Keith Hart looks like Aaron Rodgers raped Master Splinter. The The Hart family kept a bear as a pet, but had to put it down after it attacked Bret when he was on his period. Bret could never get Stu's shoulder. Oh, my dogs are attacking each other. God damn it. Right at my closer. My dogs started attacking each other during my closer. All right.
Dan's life is like the only thing comparable to the sadness of Bret Hart's life.
All right, here's my closer. Bret could never get Stu's shoulders to the mat, not because Bret wasn't tough. We're just not sure Stu ever had shoulders. Have you seen the guy? He looks like the beanbag chair Kamala died on. The Hart dungeon was no joke, though. I mean, nowadays, if you're a wrestler stretched into a pretzel, you're either doing DDP yoga or an anniversary present for Jim Cornette's wife. That's it for me, folks. Have a good one.
Yes.
Oh, man. It's an honor to be the second Jew in history to take Bret Hart down for good. We picked Bret Hart to roast this week because we thought it would be fun. Normally, the only reason to make Bret Hart the focus of a show is because there's a steroid trial and all your top draws have to lay low. It's Bret Hart, the originator of the phrase, "It's still real to me, damn it." The only guy who can make losing a fixed wrestling match the saddest episode of a show called Dark Side of the Ring. Bret needs to lighten up. Real athletes view wrestling with the same low opinion that real French people view Montreal. He constantly shits on Triple H and his wrestling ability, but really he's just jealous that he never got to screw a McMahon. Yes, I do believe that Bret has screwed Bret, usually in front of a mirror, and I'm pretty sure it's the only way he can come. He has damaged his own legacy. Bret had the ability to make any wrestler look good for years, and then gave that up when he was offered $100 and a cheeseburger from kayfabe commentaries. Bret Hart is the only member of the Hart Foundation left because they've been dying in order of self-importance. I loved his catchphrase, "The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be," until I realized that is his entire personality. Yes, Bret does view his career with rose-tinted glasses, but at least he's nice enough to hand them to some sick kid in the front row. Bret has the kind of personality you expect from someone whose happiest childhood memories were rolling around the floor with his dad in a dungeon. Thankfully, he's still obsessed with his own Bam Bam Bigelow matches to realize he was molested. Bret had a stroke, but it was nothing compared to the stroke Hogan had backstage at WrestleMania 9.
Oh, my God.
Hart successfully won his battle against cancer. Well, actually, cancer just gave up because they couldn't agree on a finish that made both of them look strong.
Oh, that's good.
Hell yeah.
Oh, man, that was awesome. That was it. Well, folks, that was the roast of Bret Hart. We will be here next week roasting Big Show unless Bret Hart has somehow got us canceled because he's friends with, like, I don't know, the head of SoundCloud. I'm not sure.
Nobody sent Bret an audio cassette tape of this to put into his Walkman.
There's never been a right time to say goodbye, which is why his family stopped talking to him.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I will say Bret's one of my favorite in-ring wrestlers ever. The guy can really pull off a sharpshooter.
Yeah, he's the best.
Hey,
He is. He's one of the best wrestlers ever. He's just,
I mean, one of the best Wikipedia pages ever.
Also, man, I don't know if you guys had this, but I stumbled upon the shoots of Bret Hart all week, and he's really one of the few people in my life I've seen who like doesn't have a filter. Like, comics say they don't have a filter, but he just, whatever name you put in front of him, he just tears up immediately. It's like they're immediately in the gears of a cotton gin or something.
Yeah, like everyone he wrestled was a fucking clown except Doink, who was a real gentleman.
He's the only wrestler in a shoot interview who has nothing but complimentary things to say about Lawler, because it's all about how Lawler made him look as a baby face.
Oh, that's all that matters to Bret. It's all, the what's going on in the ring. The outside, it does not matter. Like what a person did in their life. It's just, how did you perform with me in the ring? Madness.
Oh,
I remember, like, I think the most, if you want to see Bret at the most, like, version of the guy we made fun of today, what was that documentary, Dan, with all the old wrestlers where they talked about their days on the road?
Oh, that's it's 300
something days.
Yeah, something days. 300 and
I'll have to look it up, but dude, it's so funny. At the end, they all talk, like, all the different wrestlers are talking about how, like, because the whole movie is like road stories and the sacrifices they made, and they talk about not seeing their families, and they're like, there's like a little person wrestler who's like, look at me, and I got to travel the world with wrestling, and they're all like telling these happy, hopeful stories, and then Bret's like, I was really good. He just can't, like, be a person.
No. Bret is also a gentleman outside the ring. I heard that from Bret. Number 4, folks. Let's get back into the 10 counts. Number 4, as I pulled this up, creative is nothing for you. Let's check in with Mr. Karpeles. If you guys are new to our show, Robert was a writer at WWE in the years 2005, 2006. And every once in a while we check in with him and here's some of the stories. Robert, what do you got for us this week?
So I feel like we've buried Bret Hart enough, so I'm gonna scoop some more dirt on him. When I was
the documentary is 350 days.
Oh, 350 days of the doc. It's a really fun rental on Amazon. I don't know who directed it, but I mean, it's like, it's not the sleekest looking movie in the world, but there's a lot of fun stories on it.
It was directed by Hutch from Starsky and Hutch.
Oh, that guy gets around.
So, look, I was a huge Bret Hart fan growing up. In that I remember watching his SummerSlam 91 match against Mr. Perfect, and that was when I realized that wrestling was truly an art form, and it was beyond just, hey, Hulk Hogan's my hero, and it's like Superman but real life. So I always had a special place in my heart for Bret, and Bret reunited with the WWE while I was there, which is something I never thought would happen. And it was a huge, legitimate mark-out moment for me when I saw that picture of Bret and Vince in the studio. And I'm like, that's like down the hallway from me. I can't believe that's happening. This is awesome. Bret was there because he was doing the DVD with the WWE, and they were pulling footage, and they asked, hey, is somebody able to come by and help with some of the producers, just if they want to, grab lunch for the guys, or whatever. I'm like, fuck it. I'm never going to get a chance to meet Bret Hart again. I'm going to take this opportunity to get to meet Bret while trying to hide being the huge wrestling fan I was while I was there. So I met Bret, seemed like a perfectly nice guy. He was kind of telling stories, and it was cool because he had a captive audience, and he was kind of feeling safe. And first he tells this really interesting story about when working in Stampede for his dad, about how cheap Stu was, that they would only have enough money to film the last 5 minutes of every match. So they would have the camera out there the entire time, and there would be a signal. So he's like, yeah, no, I'm wrestling, the Mongolian Stomper. We're having a nice match. About 17 minutes in, they give a little signal, and he just starts beating the hell out of me because it has to look good on TV. I'm like, that's a pretty cool, interesting story. I'm like, this is what I hoped it was going to be, meeting Bret Hart. And then it came time for lunch. And I'm like, all right, guys, I'm going to call in the order we're getting from this little place down the road, this little deli. And he's like, oh, okay, it's a deli. Give me a pastrami sandwich. I'm like, it's not that kind of deli, Bret. It's a little Italian joint. They make like 6 different things. Like no, I'm sure they have pastrami. I'm like, I'm telling you, like they like, trust the fat guy who works here. They don't have pastrami. He's like, well, just call and see. So I take everybody else's order. I asked, you guys have pastrami? They're like, no. Bret gives me a look like I'm like the worst person on the planet. And he's like, fine, just get me a ham sandwich. And we're sitting there the entire time during lunch, and he's just staring daggers at me. And I'm like, this guy has been screwed by so many people in the WWE that he thought I was going to intentionally lie to him about whether or not a restaurant has a pastrami sandwich.
he thought you were lying to him about.
He thought I was like lying to him, like I'm trying to deprive him.
He was literally looking at you the whole time.
I mean, he may have been looking at the sandwich, but at certain point. But every time he looked at but it was the only reason I knew was because I was with him before the pastrami sandwich incident and after. And now every time I watch a Bret Hart match or see anything, all I think about is this guy who's bitter and angry that I was trying to deprive him of pastrami. And I'm like, how bitter must he be to his core that this is just how he is with everybody? And then every story subsequent over the last 15 years since then all aligns with pastrami Bret Hart and not guy that I enjoyed watching wrestle Bret Hart. And that was just one of those, like, you know, when you meet your heroes, make sure you know what salted meat he likes or else you're going to get it.
All right. Best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. Thank you, Brett. Number 5, NXT versus WWE versus a night with your family. Folks, we compare next NXT to WWE, and then we pick a third thing. This week, the loving embrace of the people who love you versus the other 2 nights of professional wrestling. I'm going to start out with Dynamite, and you guys just interrupt me. Sounds good?
Oh, yeah.
All right, great. We start out with John Moxley versus Ryan Nemeth. Not a lot to say about this match because it was real quick. John Moxley wins the paradigm shift, and then Moxley grabs a mic and cuts an awesome promo about the upcoming exploding barbed wire death match. Was I alone? What did you guys think of this promo?
It's awesome. It was great. I thought the match was, quick, which it needed to be. Could have been quicker, obviously, but I'm okay with it. And yeah, promo ruled for me. I loved it.
What do you guys think of it?
Yeah, more of this. Like this is peak AEW. This is how you have a 2-hour show where you build your pay-per-view. You know, this whole thing was 8 minutes. He beats a guy, so you're excited to see him wrestle. And he does it quickly, and then he does a promo about the match that he's going to do. It's so simple when they get it right. And this was everything right about wrestling and this company.
Yeah, this gave me hope in watching this. I got nervous because they first let Nemeth have that little insert promo, which sounded like from the old WCW Nitro video game when you like mouse over them and they just say something for 20 seconds. He's just like, I'm going to get the star and role in this movie. It's like, what? This is going to be brutal. Match was short, inoffensive. It was fine. Moxley's promo was good. What was strange was after he tells this really compelling promo, they then go straight to a video package that felt kind of redundant, where they're retelling the Moxley Omega story, which under any other circumstances, fine, except Moxley just sold me on this match with the heart and soul he gave in that promo. It felt a little overkill.
I thought it was okay because it's their main event, and the fact that like they've done a lot of long-term storytelling that isn't good, but the fact that they're like this started in May 2019 and there is a through line, and I thought it worked.
Next up, Papa Buck and Mama Buck are backstage taking pictures in front of an AEW trailer, a little foreshadowing for later on. The Varsity Blondes versus Team Taz. And then Sting came back, proved he wasn't dead, and did a stinger splash, bounced around, looked pretty good. I'm excited. Maybe I'm a mark here, but I was really excited watching him jump around that ring. Am I just being 2 glasses half full?
Yes.
Well, no, it worked though. It did work in that moment. I mean, whatever happens next week or at the pay-per-view or whatever, this moment worked. He came off quicker than I've seen him.
The last 2 weeks have resold me on the feud. Like I was kind of bored by it because they were literally doing the same segment like 3 or 4 weeks in a row. But the power bomb and from Cage and then this, I think we would be like super excited about this match if they had just waited for Sting's return for the new year. If they had just done that, we would be at the edge of our seats. Brandon Cutler versus Jake Hager. Look,
I wanted to say something about this.
Yeah.
I think that a big mistake that I think they made is the whole point is does still Sting have it? Like, can he go? So having him do like the splash and the scorpion death drop, I thought I didn't think it was a smart idea because it's just you should have to pay to see that on the pay-per-view. And also, this is where I think their indie-rific booking gets in the way because it's like, yeah, Moxley beating Nemeth in 3 minutes was great and helped him. These guys needed a short win. Cage and Starks, the Varsity Blondes are barely ever on. They don't really have characters.
Oh, I like them. You got to give them a little offense.
I'm not because it was a 9-minute match. If these guys have to struggle 9 minutes to take these dudes down,
Pillman Jr., wrestling royalty.
Dude, that drop kick was sick, right? To the outside.
Yeah, man.
But Griff Garrison, like getting a hot tag and
Kid's got a great head of hair.
Yeah.
It's
Very
just
tall.
you're not protecting your
He's
heels.
hot.
Yeah, and then Sting takes out Cage. Not only does Cage get like beat up, he's out cold. Why do I think they will have any type of upper hand in this feud? I thought it was really bad booking.
You're just jealous that Varsity.
It's
Mike.
funny because that's pretty much everything I had written. I mean, I liked the match. The match was at least competitive. Varsity Blondes looked okay. It could have been shorter, but whatever. The pre-shot video of like Sting unzipping the body bag and pulling out Darby was shot well, but again made me think like they hired a video crew to go film this versus a genuine moment. I like that Sting kidnapped Hook and that Taz, who's right there on commentary, doesn't go over to save his son, but is continuing to commentate on what's happening rather than rescue his son. But yeah, they gave Sting everything you want to see. I heard Tony Schiavone scream Scorpion Death Drop. I don't need to pay the 40, 50, 60 bucks that this pay-per-view is.
Dicks. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be awesome.
Fun, but I've seen it. Like, what
Dude,
are you going to give me that Sting's
no,
not? I mean,
they
there was
needed
a
to
zip
show
line.
people because people had doubts and people thought maybe he can't go, so I'm not going to buy the pay-per-view. And they said, "Oh no, baby, he can go."
Who was buying this just for Sting? You were
There's
already
plenty
getting
of people
Omega
that would buy
Moxley.
it just for Sting.
But the
Yeah,
people
man,
who want to see
people
it
that
just
would buy it just for Sting.
weird.
then they're going to buy it
Weird.
regardless of how terrible he may or may not be. You didn't need to prove to me that Sting's not broken down and going to embarrass
to
I
him.
feel
know.
like you
I
and
need
Mike
to
just want to ruin Christmas. That's what I feel like this is about.
Yeah,
And
'cause
that back-
we have Hanukkah. That's why.
And Darby's face paint is a little like Sting now. Did you see that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, powers fusing, boys. Let's go. Let's do this.
And he,
Enough of this
do
money.
really- he
They
was
do
like
have-
the first wrestler to come down from the rafters in years. Like, Darby's doing that because he knows the history of that spot.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Enough of these minor
Yeah,
league
right.
guys. Let's talk about Brandon Cutler.
Yeah.
Well, wait.
Real
The
star.
thing I don't like about Darby doing it is he's so tiny. It's very Peter Pan. Like, when he swings by, it's like one swat him.
Yeah. He just keeps going.
I loved all of it.
I mean, the last thing I'll say about Sting is if he is going to do these moves before the pay-per-view, don't have him do them on the big heavy in the match. Like if he does them on Hook or Hobbs or somebody, but it's like, why do I need to watch this now? I already saw him destroy this guy, and he didn't even get up and leave the ring. He was out cold.
Well, guys, I plan on buying AEW
Yeah,
Revolution.
dude, it's a street fight. It's a street fight, right?
And unlike Meltzer and Alvarez, I am not getting paid to say this. Next up, Jake Hager versus Brandon Cutler. I will say this. Look, I know I've shit on Jay Cutler on the show before. He sold great.
Jake Cutler?
I'm not sorry. I'm Brandon
Former
Cutler.
quarterback
Cutler
great
is
Jay Cutler.
Yes, you're. I get that. I get Jay Cutler and Brandon Cutler confused. Which Jay Cutler would be horrified to hear that. But I thought he sold really well. I mean, I thought he sold great. And that's what he was supposed to do, right?
Yeah, man, he sold well. His offense made sense, and he looks good. I mean, not his face, but his muscles. You go, wow. Right?
He has the
guys?
most elaborate entrance that I've seen in AEW for not QT Marshall.
Well-
Like I saw this guy come out and I'm like, how did he avoid being stuck in the Dark Order in the first place? Because everything about him screams Dark Order. This was a great, Jake Hager looked impressive, and that's what you need to do. He basically just murdered this guy, which was what you need and should have been. But this was like the third, you knew exactly who was going to win quasi squash match in a row, which isn't bad, but it was just to set up.
He's
the
he's the
promo.
Bucks' best friend in terms of
Based on
I
what?
guess like reality. I mean, he's like the guy who follows them around and
then show us
films
that.
everything.
It
For
hasn't been on
BTE.
television. It's like,
Yeah, but it's 2021. I mean, everything is everything. You watch the YouTube, and then you watch Disney Plus to watch fucking Witch Lady and Robot Guy, and then you go see the movie, and you like the reference, and everything is everything, man. Hop on board. Be a fucking wrestling fan in 2021. Go watch some old tapes, motherfuckers. Right, Dan? Come on, let's do this.
Yeah.
Varsity Blondes. Give me Ricky Starks on the mic for 20 minutes.
But the thing is, Griff, here's the fucking problem. Let me tell you something, Sonny.
All right.
It's that okay? AEW itself, its flagship show, gets at most 800,000 people a week. Then Dark gets like 100,000. Being the Elite gets 100,000. So your majority of your people who have lives, who are doing other shit, don't watch this fucking stuff. And you got to have a program that appeals to them as well.
But I think the truth is, and I love AEW, but the amount of viewers they have, while it's impressive to us in a sense that we go, oh, they got 800 something thousand and NXT only got 700. It's like, those are not good numbers, period.
No.
Nobody's really watching this, man. And when you got nothing to lose. Who said that? Bob Dylan or somebody? Anyway,
you're having a whole conversation with yourself right there, Scott.
Because they should be taking these risks. That's why people go like, well, what the hell's this Impact thing?
Guys, we
got
to get to this Isaiah Cassidy match. Isaiah Cassidy versus Hangman.
That's what someone
Page.
Backstage said. Guys, we got to get to this Isaiah Cassidy match.
This Isaiah Cassidy versus I'm sorry.
Oh, wait, there's something before that, because after the match, because this is the second week in a row this happened, where they forget that they've scripted the TV show, but we don't realize that it's not a TV show. The Bucks come out to make the save on Brandon Cutler, and then they call out Jericho and MJF, who are already in the back beating up their dad, as if Jericho and MJF knew, oh, the Bucks are going to come out to save from the attack, and then they're going to call us out, so we better already be ready to
Bucks defense. He was already beaten up by the time.
So they just did it anyway. We're just waiting there with a camera guy for an hour and a half.
It's part of the plan. Jump him after you beat him, and then we're gonna beat up his dad, and obviously they'll run out because they're friends. This makes sense.
Is it just me, or does Papa Buck look like a thinner Steven Seagal?
Steven Seagal would love to hear that.
Pretty sure it's Robert Gibson.
I mean, he just looks like he looks like the typical Trump hippie. You know what I mean? He's like, man, I love weed and I love government out of my fucking business.
I mean, he's definitely more a Robert Gibson than a Ricky Morton, because he's there for his children.
He looks like the reason why the Bucks are so conscious about how much money they make all the time, and it needs to be in cash, because that could not have been an easy childhood.
But I did think the smearing of the blood on the picture was really
that was really cool.
I didn't, man, and I wish I did. I wish
really?
I liked this. Well,
I thought the blood looked super fake, but I thought the image was cool.
The blood looked super fake, and yeah, the image in theory is cool, but the execution was bad. And also you have them gently jogging to the back, and it's not because they don't want to find their father, but it's because the type of shoes they wear, like they wear them kind of loose. Like when he fucking chased after the car, and you realize he had to slow down a little because his shoes weren't catching up with him. That was bonkers.
Now
no
you're
one's
the old man. These damn kids these days don't wear shoes properly the way they used to.
No, we're the same age. He just has to fucking don't wear those shoes when you're supposed to chase a car.
You give me a pair of Keds and I would have saved him.
Yeah,
but also don't do an
tight,
angle where someone's son gets beat up in one segment and then someone's dad gets beat up in the next. Like, they really do need to talk to each other.
Yeah, but listen, also, we're shitting on the Bucks about this. I promise you this was Jericho's idea. This is what he does. The feud does not call for this. This is like a very simple feud. You could do other things with it. It's not a blood feud. No one is going to buy the pay-per-view now because you beat up this fucking guy. It's not happening.
It is. I did think of that because when Edge beat up John Cena's dad, remember that in that like crazy video where John Cena's dad is like overacting. The moment it like didn't happen until August. They had their first match in January. So it was like something they used to build the like an already a feud that was already a blood feud. And also like we have the Buck's dad who's hurt in this segment. The segment before that is Taz's son. And then right after that, they also another member of like the Dark Order is sacrificed, right? Like and
Matt
he's like
Hardy
thrown
throws
off.
him off the
He's thrown off the stage. Oh, it's almost like this. It's like the similar beat 3 segments in a row. I don't understand why they needed that. The match itself, Isaiah Kennedy versus Hangman Page was good, but I get they're all trying to get heat for their match, but have it on different fucking weeks, guys. This is what I realized. Like AEW they don't need writers, but they do need readers. They need somebody to read the breakdown of the show that night and realize that 2 segments are exactly the same.
Which is the thrust of like every week when I talk about AEW, it turns into here's how this could have been done somewhat better. And if one person in the production meeting would have brought this up of maybe we don't do this segment after segment after segment and we space it out, the show is going to flow a little better. And you're going to have your 800,000 people, but if you're going to grow, you got to get a little better at pacing out a 2-hour show.
Yeah, I really dug that Shaq Jade Cargill promo video. Did we talk about that? We talked about that earlier on. Can we just one thing we didn't mention about the Shaq video? So we've never seen him wrestle once because I thought that he was going to be in this montage wrestling, but I guess apparently he has been training with QT. That's what I heard from Meltzer.
All right.
yeah, on promos.
Now here's how Cody likes his car waxed. You want to do 2 coats.
All right, next up we have Nyla Rose versus Britt Baker. I thought the wrong person won. I thought the match itself was pretty good. But I rather I don't know why Britt Baker isn't like running this division because she can work and she can talk. So why aren't you just like keeping the title on her until you have some baby face that can take it off? It doesn't make any sense. And finally, Lance Archer versus Ray Phoenix, which I thought was very good. What did you guys think of this match?
I love this match. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
All right. This was a great match that should not have existed in the context that it existed because Scorpio Sky, Penta, and Cody just get put in the match, but these guys have to fight for a spot. These guys have been wrestling on TV the past couple weeks, are prominent TV characters. The other 3 guys have not been really, even Cody hasn't. Scorpio and Penta haven't wrestled in a while, and they're just in the match. And then next week we have, was it Caster and 10? And why is Caster and not Bowen? This makes no sense.
Also, why are you doing a ladder match on a pay-per-view and not putting Phoenix in there? That to me feels like a huge miss.
Because Phoenix will die. Seriously. Because he'll go nuts.
Okay.
Didn't he hurt himself in the last ladder match he was in, or he got taken out of it like right before because he hurt himself?
It was strange booking just because I feel like you've been building Archer as this baby face and it's kind of been working and the audience is kind of getting behind him a little bit. And then he had that backstage pre-tape with Phoenix where they just start fighting for like Phoenix is a dick to him for no reason. He's like, I know we were partners. And he's just like, you were the worst partner I ever had. And then they start fighting around empty water bottles. And it was like, why do you guys not like each other just to set up this match when it could have just been a good sportsman match? They both go out there, have the same thing. And then Excalibur gave a better finish. He goes, oh, we have like a minute left of TV time. I guess if this doesn't, we don't have a finish, maybe both guys or neither guy will be in the ladder match. Like that would have been perfect. It goes to a draw and they maybe both get in there. You get what you want. Instead, this. Yeah.
I'm interested in what they're doing with the ladder match though, because none of them are really high flyers. It's kind of big guys.
I think Phoenix will be in the match. They still have another week. I think they're going to put him in it.
Also, a lot of them feel bigger than the TNT title. Like this is the title that Joey Janela just challenged for. When I feel like
TNT title, man. I mean, it's Cody, Brody Lee, and who else?
It was Brody, and then it's Darby, but Darby hasn't defended it pretty much. And now it's like
but
I feel like
Darby's like a guy they trust.
He is, but we've seen Phoenix go after. We've seen Phoenix wrestle Omega. Archers should be up there in the main event scene. I just feel like there's younger guys that they could be plugging in here and save these other guys for more prominent spots down the road. Whatever. Bucket.
I don't have a problem with that. But here's a fun drinking game you can play if you watch AEW. Every time Jim Ross brings up football, take a drink. He slid it in again this week with Lance Archer. He just brought up, Lance Archer was a quarterback in college.
The best is, oh, sorry, go on.
I'm sorry, what, Mike?
No, the best is when he does it, but then he doesn't know what to say about the other guy because he's like, hey, I play football and Phoenix, well, he's from Mexico, so he's a Mexican. Like,
right.
He's unpredictable.
It's halfway through it is when he realizes why Vince would constantly tell him, shut the fuck up about football. Because once you finally get to say it, you have nowhere else to go from here. Oh, Jake Hager, he was an offensive lineman, and Brandon Cutler, he plays board games.
Yeah, well, it's also like
he's a dragon.
If you're the only one in the conversation who cares about football, it is just a one-way dead-end conversation, Next up is our February 24th, 2021 edition of NXT. We start out. Rob tweeted this week. By the way, it was a blast. I'm going to be tweeting Raw on Monday, and Scott's going to be tweeting SmackDown this Friday. So check us out. Johnny Gargano faced Dexter Lumis. It was a match that happened. Dexter Lumis won. What else can I say about this guy?
He's kind of disappointing, right?
I mean, he's just not that great in the ring, Dexter Lumis.
Yeah. No, this sucked. This went on way too long. It's
you
cool
can't get a good match with Johnny Gargano. What the fuck?
And I think
are you doing?
I tweeted that during the show. I'm like, they say Johnny Gargano can get a great match out of anybody. Dexter Lumis is going to prove him wrong. Like the whole story here is that Austin Theory was brainwashed, but this went on for like 20 minutes for no reason. It wasn't particularly good. And they just keep bringing up Stockholm Syndrome, which this isn't how Stockholm Syndrome works. That the guy's been, brainwashed by a zombie versus how being kidnapped by a regular person. But it was dumb and it went way too long and it exposed Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis is great when he just stands still and looks creepy. Don't let him wrestle.
Did you see what's his name? Wade Barrett had a nice line when he wasn't there. He's like, I'm stuck in Dexter Lumis's basement. And yes. I was like, that's really funny. And I'm like, that's the most charismatic Dexter Lumis is ever going to be. Like referenced by Wade Barrett in a voiceover Skype. It was not worth talking about. Next up, we have a really great MSK package.
Awesome.
Man,
that was amazing.
Jesus Christ, these guys are going to be huge. I think
they rule.
I mean, both of them. Tyler Rust versus Leon Ruff. Anybody have anything to say about this?
Yeah, his head does not match his body.
Who are we talking about?
Tyler Rust.
It
is really weird.
Yes.
Yeah, he's definitely got a Brandon Cutler face.
He is 28 going on 70 and it's just weird. Like he's a young guy. I'm like, look at me, he looks like a Marlboro cigarette come to life. Like he's just gnarled and gross. The greatest thing about this was Strickland or Isaiah Scott came out, just kicked Leon Ruff in the head and we didn't have to watch the match, which makes him a babyface in my eyes.
That's it. This was gonna be my mark out moment at first. I just thought fuck. Sorry. Because I know we talk about it later.
Way to break kayfabe.
Yeah. Can I just say that moment was phenomenal? The way that Isaiah just kicked him.
Yeah.
It was like fucking, like he like leans all the way back. That was one of the best like spots I've seen in a long time.
And now he recut it himself on Twitter and he posted it with the Grand Theft Auto wasted graphic right after with the music. It makes it even better.
Next up, folks, we have Cameron Grimes watching the classic video of the $1 Million Man. Let's get just through Cameron Grimes. Everything Cameron Grimes.
I'm sure we'll talk about Cameron Grimes later in the show. Wink.
He rules.
Cameron Grimes. I mean, this entire character, this entire new gimmick of Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes is already a great gimmick, and now this is like on steroids. This hillbilly $1 Million Man. I love it.
It's the only thing about him on steroids.
Yoshirai versus Zoe Stark. was a match that happened. Zoe Stark did not get the Cena treatment when Cena fought Kurt Angle because Zoe Stark is not John Cena.
She didn't even get the finish your promo treatment.
No, they didn't. I thought Aew Shirai. I thought again, it's like he can't get a great match out of Aew Shirai. It's like, what are you doing, right?
Same feeling.
Yoshirai has great music. I'm trying to be positive, but yeah, that was about it. It was like she has really great entrance music, and then the rest of this match was
Killian Dane and Drake Maverick versus the Grizzled Young Vest. There were just like a lot of matches on this happen. There's just a lot of matches on the show that just happened, you know. And then there's no DQ match. Santos Escobar versus Karrion Kross.
And then was Xia Li versus Casey Canizaro was great.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Mike, you have anything to say about this match?
I just got to give credit to the Wednesday show that has more than one women's match. I thought that this was fun. I like this character. It's fucking weird. It's just, but I like Gaga bullshit.
Yeah, I like the Gaga bullshit, and I've said this for the past 4 weeks in a row. Please make this character turn out to be Bruce Pritchard. Just so, he would actually be fired and then have to go back to podcasting, but it would be a fun reveal. Then finally we've got this. What do you guys have to say about the Karrion Kross Santos Escobar match? Anything?
Could have been shorter. But yeah, it's fine.
I guess Karrion Kross is a babyface now, which he's fine as that.
Yeah, he's like a cool heel anyway, so it's kind of an easy transition.
Yeah, kind of feels
I don't mind
the
it.
same. Yeah.
And they need more baby faces on that. And they should probably just take him to the main roster soon anyway. What else can he do on the show? And finally, Adam Cole shed some crocodile tears. Takes out Finn Balor, and to everyone's shock, takes out Roddy Strong at the very end of the show, gives him a low blow. After Roddy Strong clotheslines Adam Cole. Adam Cole feigns some sort of contrition, and then we get the nut shots, and we go off air. I really like the ending. Robert, what did you think of this? Robert had to live tweet this entire show. So
I was just shouting into a void for 2 hours watching this. I think I wrote it was a 2-hour boring show that had 5 seconds of excitement at the end when Cole genuinely seemed like he was crying. He was emotional. He low blowed Roderick Strong. And I think, Dan, I texted this to you after. This is a great angle that deserves better performers. Cole was amazing. Roderick Strong, terrible, brutal promo. Kyle O'Reilly's promo before, not very good. I kind of feel like Cole was justified in cutting some of the dead weight.
They really love their low blows. It's funny because it's like to do the WWE low blow, your arm has to be on the guy's dick for like 10 seconds. Because not only do they hit it, but then they just hold it for a while.
It's Pat Patterson's legacy.
So what would you say, Mike? Would you say AEW, NXT, or a loving night with your wife and your dog?
I'm gonna give this to I had that after the wrestling. I'm gonna give this to AEW because of the Moxley stuff, but they really got to get smarter about who they have long matches with. Like Jake Hager just looked more like a star than Adam Page because his match was 3 minutes and Page's was 14.
Yeah. I'm going to go with AEW. My wife's here. A loving night with my wife and all right, AEW. I'm going to go with AEW as well. Even though I had NXT the last couple of weeks, but I thought AEW, there was more stuff I popped for. Scott?
Yeah, AEW, man. I love it. No matter what. Dude, Big Show, even if they do Big Show and it's just Sting, it's just the same Sting thing where he just comes out instead of snow, it's just his diarrhea. I don't care. I'll cheer for it.
Do you think Jake gets sad when he sees all that snow dropped?
Man, they really they're like, Jake, you are not wearing that bunny shirt 2 weeks in a row. That Jake eats bunnies. That's like, that was a one-time thing, that shirt.
I made it myself.
What would you say, Robert? NXT or AEW?
So because I had to live tweet NXT, I had to forego a night with my family because I said, well, if you want to watch NXT, she says, fuck no. So I'm removing that from the equation. February 26, 2021, I am going on record. AEW Dynamite was by far the better show than NXT. This was a boring, nothing 2 hours of television that if I didn't have to live tweet it for the love of you, our listeners, I would have just watched this on the DVR and not seen 11 Grubhub commercials.
Zach, what would you say?
Yeah, it's AEW this week.
Notice how none of us said a loving night with our families.
We made our choice.
Number 7, it's time to check in with the Far East with Scott's New Japan Corner.
I just want to quickly say, Dan, if we all had picked a loving night with our family, that would be the meanest thing we could say to Bret Hart.
All right, enough of this. I want to hear about what's going on with Takahashi. He's no longer the champion. What's going on,
brother?
Scott?
Robert knows all about this shit, dude. He follows an account or two. Hiromu Takahashi, the IWGP Light Heavyweight Champion, is injured. He will be out for 6 months. He relinquished the title. So Sunday at Castle Attack, El Desperado is going to fight El Phantasmo and Bushi in a 3-way match for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. Also at that show, we're getting a returning Naito from injury, fighting Ibushi for just the Intercontinental title. So that's interesting. They are going to try to separate them. Maybe not. I don't know. Obviously depends on if Ibushi wins or not. What else we got? We got Okada versus Evil. Might get some dick involved.
All right.
What else? Oh, you guys heard
Here
about Marty
or
Scurll?
to go?
Hey now.
You heard about Skrull? Skrull apparently.
Skrull's back in New Japan.
Might have taped something. Might have literally taped something for New Japan, which is a
Hopefully it's not sex with an underage girl.
Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, that's gonna be weird, So I guess we'll see where that goes with that. Ugh.
This is the thing, because this is why when I was critical all the time of AEW working with other companies, why WWE doesn't do it, is it sounds like Marty may be on the same show that Moxley is going to be on, and they're going to get a lot of criticism because they said in Japan they don't care what Marty Scurll did. But in America, it's going to be a story that this guy is now getting an opportunity because of what allegedly theoretically happened.
Dude, I don't think that people are going to make the. I don't think people are going to do that math. Like
it's already. I'm already starting to see.
It's already happened.
I've already started to see where people are like all up in arms. I'm like, the Japan doesn't care, but I think the concern is going to be for AEW that they may get snared into.
No, I don't think. No, that's what I was referring to. I don't think that AEW, an AEW wrestler being on that show is, and doing something with him is going to get any heat. I just don't, unless it's on their show. That's the only thing that's going to get
guys,
heat.
Look, Marty Scurll, he was a huge part of the elite. If you were a fan before, they started AEW a few years ago, and you were a fan a few years leading up to that, Marty was, interchangeably one of the guys. I mean, like, he in merchandise, he was doing better than all of them for a moment. Villain Club shirts were the biggest fucking deal. His entrance ruled hard. Yep. I mean, everything on BET, he was like a highlight of BTE when they were at their peak of this is what the fuck, the whole reason
he's
AEW
definitely
exists.
A big star. I don't disagree. And I'm looking forward to New Japan booking Marty Scurll against Pharaoh.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm saying is he has so much ties with AEW, that the fact that it hasn't happened already, I don't think it's happening. I think they kind of washed their hands of this fucking guy. I mean, he's part of the.
I don't think enough people watch the show. I think
those final T-shirts before AEW came out, where it was the Elite, and then Hangman had a horse, and Kenny had a cat, and it was, Marty had his shirt, and yeah, one of like the guys that made AEW happen in terms of fandom, and he has not done anything with them. So I think they're done with him, dude. I bet you they don't even talk to him personally. Some of them.
Number 8. What? Why? How is a Reginald? Guys, we've skipped over this. We talked a little bit about it on the Patreon. What the fuck is this character? And I want to go in defense of Reginald. I have no problem with Reginald. I actually think whatever this I don't dislike it, but I just don't want it to be in the main event. It's like when Umaga fought Cena, and you're like, wow, this is awesome, but Umaga's manager, Hector Armando Estrada, just was like, why is Ricky Ricardo here in what should be a blood feud? It didn't make any sense to me. So that's my only problem with Reginald being the linchpin of the Bianca, Carmella Sasha thing, where it's like you just this should be Bianca's moment. You should be making Bianca. It shouldn't be some weird side character. He just reminds me of like Sebastian from The Little Mermaid, even though he's from Baltimore. Like, I feel like he's like the magical thing that appeared to Liv Morgan that caused her to fall in love with Bo Dallas. Like, he has that vibe, but I don't know. What's even worse is, Vince was like, okay, we broke up the New Day. What do we do with him?
No, Vince met Reginald. He's like, tell me about yourself. He says, I'm Somali. Oh, you're a sommelier. Great. That's your character on television now. Now you're a wine expert. And he doesn't want to correct him. So every week he's just Googling the names of wines, just desperately hoping.
I mean, I like the throwback aspect of just this random character. Because
I was about to say, Mike, when I put this on the 10 count, I'm like, I bet Mike doesn't hate this.
Well, Carmella's not great on her own, and she never really has been. So why not give her a guy named Reginald? What can hurt?
It's just such a funny name it's just an old man name for a sommelier.
Yeah. It's the weirdest. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like what I always love about wrestling is that even the non-wrestling characters are played by wrestlers, so everyone is just ripped in the wrestling universe. Yeah. So even though he's just this wine guy, he still has this jacked fucking body.
Yeah, he still can do all these amazing flips.
There's some heavy bottles he's carrying around.
Joining us for number 9 and 10, he is the creator of the greatest wrestling documentary TV show in history, Evan Husney, creator of Dark Side of the Ring. Evan, thank you for coming on.
Whoa, what an intro. Thanks, man.
I mean, it's like you and 2 other people.
That's true. Wow, well,
but it's a phenomenal show.
I appreciate that, man, a lot.
And I can't wait. We cannot wait for the 3rd season. It's going to be Collision in Korea is going to be this season. So
Collision in Korea. Yep.
I think you guys are going to like that. How many pro wrestlers have you had to teach how to use Zoom in the past year?
Well, we haven't done any of the interviews Zoom style. It's all been, we've traveled the country. I've been around the country twice. We've done it all in like an RV, put 11,000 miles on the RV. We're going, we're out there.
That's
awesome. You feel thankful that you covered a sport where no one believes that COVID exists?
Oh man, there's definitely plenty of stories about that for sure.
Yeah, you're gonna have a dark side of the ring, which is just around all these wrestlers who don't believe in social distancing. We lost 4 key grips that season.
You could
I'll wear a mask in Madison Square Garden, but I ain't wearing one to fucking Walmart.
That's fucking great. All right. Well, before we get into number 9 and 10, very sad news this week. Joseph Hudson has passed away. You may know him as the question mark on NWA Power. He also was Jocephus and a few other gimmicks there, but another place you could have seen him is in the Bruiser Brody episode of Dark Side of the Ring, and he was fantastic as Bruiser Brody. I did not know that was him, but out of all the people I've seen reenact wrestlers in those 2 seasons, he's the best, and I'm not just saying that because of the passing. He was really great.
Yeah, I mean, it was our very first episode. I remember like when we were just coming up with the idea for this show, like back when it was probably just going to be about Bruiser. I mean, we just thought we were going to make a Bruiser Brody documentary. We didn't think this would turn into a whole show. And we knew with that story, we needed to like try to see if like reenactments could be a thing, because we needed coverage of what took place in that locker room and in Puerto Rico and all that stuff. And so I remember the first wrestler I ever reached out to was for this show was Dutch Mantell, and talked to him and got him on board. And then he was basically telling me,
man, he was so great as the voiceover for the first. Is he coming back for the third season? I know Jericho did the second season.
No, Jericho is back for season 3. He was great. It was kind of an unfortunate thing because we love working with Dutch too. It was amazing. But our show actually became Canadian from season 2 into season 3. So we had to hire a Canadian for the voiceover narration.
Wow, that's right. It's a union rule there.
It's just like a tax thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, so, but yeah, we just, anyway, so Dutch, sorry, there's a siren outside my door here. I'm in New York
Scott
City,
Steiner just arrived. He wants to be on season 3.
Dude,
he turned us down. He turned us down for season 3. So
is he busy with Shoney's?
Yeah, probably.
I think that's Ice chasing after Chris Jericho.
Oh my God.
Scott Steiner is still his math promo. I still watch. Like every time I'm going to watch something else with Scott Steiner, I just end up watching the math promo. It's that good.
I remember I was, and Evan, I think you were there at Starcast during Ron Funch's show, and they showed the math promo, and I was sitting next to Matthew from Botchamania, and he quoted it the way that nerds quote Star Wars. Like he was like almost in tears, freaking out, and he knew every single word of that promo. It was amazing.
It was amazing. It was awesome. Oh man, those were such great times. Like when all of us were able to be together at those Starcasts and do all that.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. I'm hoping Conrad has one more in him. So
yeah.
So, but how did you meet? How did you meet and hire Jocephus for the show?
Yeah, so we knew we needed someone to play Bruiser Brody, and we were like kind of terrified by the idea of doing reenactments because trying to create these iconic people in this show is a daunting task. But Dutch Mantell told us all about Jocephus because I think Dutch kind of managed him at one point, did a few shows with him. And then we saw this picture of him like in the full Brody gimmick, and we're like, oh my God. And it gave us like all this confidence that we could actually maybe do this. So it was really amazing because we actually met him in Nashville when we were filming with Dutch for the show, and we had a ring set up there, and it was in the like Nashville Armory or something like that. And we show up there, and this is the first time I've ever seen a ring before, or I've been like in, where I can actually go inside of one. So I'm inside this ring. Of course, I'm just like talking about total fucking Mark. Like I'm just like bouncing around the ropes, like, just so ready to be slammed and jumping off this thing, and Dutch is like, all right, Jocephus, slam him. And he just turns and goes over, and Jocephus just picks me up and just fucking slams me on that mat. And it was like I can't believe what that felt like. Like, you always hear that story of like, well, if these guys really knew or I would feel, dude, this was it recontextualized every bump I've ever watched in my entire life. All the Mick Foley shit, everything was like, oh my God, these guys do this. I couldn't believe it. I
just
swear
feels like cement.
It felt like, yeah, just no give, just like being slammed on like wood on the floor. It was crazy.
Unbelievable.
And so then Jason got in there, who makes the show with me, Jason Eisner, and he started to like have this full match with Jocephus, just like goofing around. And that night after we shot that day, like Jason was like back in the hotel room, and he was so fucked up. Like he had all of these like bruises on his back from hitting the ropes, and like he was like out cold snoring, and it was crazy. That shit's no joke. But yeah. But Jocephus was amazing. Like and then of course we brought him to Toronto when we shot the reenactments, and he was so cool, and he came up, and Yeah, it's just like when we got to really spend time with him and just realized that he was like a total, like we love the same shit, like not only just wrestling, but like we're huge metalheads, and like he loved obscure metal, records, and like so did I, and like obscure sci-fi books, and like we loved this. We had like the same taste in like books, metal, and weird VHS movies. It was weird, and we just totally like synergize on that. And and that was back when we didn't really have much money to do the show. And he had to crash on our couch while we were filming this. So that was kind of cool to have that experience. But yeah, man, and he just fully embodied it and played that role with such respect and care, and just loved Bruiser Brody and felt so honored to do it. And yeah, he's one of the early people that really believed in what we were doing. So I mean, yeah, just a great fucking guy.
Yeah, man, it's way too young. Holy shit, way too young.
Do you ever have wrestlers now that like ask to play certain characters? Or are you at the point in the show like, hey man, if you ever do a Buff Bagwell episode, this guy?
Yeah, from time to time, yeah. And sometimes we do source a lot of wrestlers from the Ontario area or Canada. Like even for the Abdul the Butcher role for that same episode, there was one guy who worked like an Abby gimmick, and we were lucky enough to find him and bring him in. But yeah, I mean, obviously with this year with COVID, it's been harder to bring people obviously across the, in and into Canada. But normally I think if things weren't the way they were, we probably would have done a lot more of that.
All right, well, let's get to when does it come out again, Evan? New season.
See, season 3, the date has not been announced officially yet, but it's definitely this year and /soon. So you'll
Awesome.
Probably start hearing stuff about it.
Yeah,
soon.
well, come back when it premieres. Let's get to number 9. What was your mark out moment of the week, Evan? If you had one, something you saw in wrestling this week, or something from in the past we should check out.
Well, I mean, for me, it's like I've been watching a lot of having to watch a lot of our show because obviously we're finishing episodes. And so mostly the wrestling I've been watching has been the wrestling that's in our show.
Yeah, you're probably sick of it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we have to watch these episodes 30 or 40 times, but
yeah,
so I've been seeing a lot of Collision in Korea lately, which is amazing. I don't know if you guys have ever watched it.
Oh, I've never seen it.
How do you watch it? Is there a way, or you can't tell us, or
at gunpoint? that's how they watched it.
There's WCW packaged it. I don't know. I doubt it's on the network.
I mean, we cleaned it up for WWE 24/7, so I know we've used at least matches from it because I've watched the original digibeta, it was a beta at that point from the library, because I know we've pulled some footage from it. I don't know if they ever cleaned up the whole episode, but I know it exists in the archive, and it may be on the network now before Peacock realizes they're going to get nuked for having it up there.
Which is so watching Collision in Korea has been so interesting because we've also gotten all this footage. I don't quote me, but I think it's from CNN, because there were media outlets who were there, but they weren't allowed to film the actual matches. So they just filmed everything else, which is amazing. So they're filming all the crowd reactions, and it's incredible to see. This is like Alien. This is like wrestling in North Korea is totally alien. It's like two different alien civilizations trying to interact with each other in terms of the audience not understanding at all what they're watching. So there's no reaction. So it's almost like watching COVID wrestling in a way, like with no
or
audience.
Any Saudi Arabia show.
Yeah, or Baron Corbin.
It's literally, I mean, because would you say it's comparable to the Saudi Arabia shows where
no, it's different. It's totally different. Because I feel like there is reaction. I feel like there's the
Saudi
wrestling
shows people got paid, dude. paid.
No, there's just confusion on their faces that you can see, total puzzlement. And except for when Inoki gets out there, because Inoki has a connection to North Korea because his master, Ricky Dozan, was North Korean. And so I think he might have done some PR in North Korea, to hype up his match with Flair. So they only pop for Inoki when he shows up. And it's kind of amazing to start seeing them, in North Korea, understand wrestling by that point in the show. But up to that, it's just totally surreal. It's like a dream. And that's how we approach the episode it's like a wrestling nightmare dream.
My mark out moment of the week, very very, very different from that. My mark-out moment of the week, it's kind of a shot at Mike Lawrence for a little bit. So my mark-out moment of the week is from the WrestleFeed app. It is a quote about our champion, Drew McIntyre, whose reign was ended this past Sunday at the Elimination Chamber. Drew McIntyre carried WWE through the Performance Center era. He gave all he had in doing that. One of the best babyface champions in a long time. Drew McIntyre became one of the best WWE champions in a pandemic. Put some respect on his name. That is directed at you, Mike Lawrence. Put some respect on Drew McIntyre's name the next time you talk about him.
You stole my gimmick.
He really did help.
Sounds like something you wrote and mailed along with Anthrax.
Along with Anthrax.
This is actually just like baking flour, but he thought was anthrax. Oh, man, this anthrax goes good on cookies.
Yeah, exactly. That's my mark out moment of the week is Drew McIntyre's entire title reign. Thank you, Drew.
That was such like the markiest shit, man. God bless you for that vulnerable moment.
If anyone was going to help steer the ship downward with the ratings on Raw, it's Drew.
Yeah.
Mike,
true,
what do you have for
thank you for your service.
Mike,
I'm gonna go with the Cameron Grimes, Ted DiBiase skits last night. But also, because it is wrestling, we have to give a shout out to this moment in awkward Black history, because they show what they did was they showed Sasha Banks quoting Rosa Parks in a very solemn Black history commercial. Then they cut to Cameron Grimes watching an iPad that has Ted DiBiase with Virgil kicking a basketball away from a young African-American child.
Hey, look, there's nothing I could say.
But the Cameron Grimes, like the recurring thing throughout the night of him like trying to be smarter than Ted DiBiase, but not watching the whole video was really funny. I mean, that character is the best character in that show by far. And that was a great moment.
And unlike anything else, they paid it off over the course of the episode. And the great running joke of it was everybody he approaches is like, oh, like the Ted DiBiase thing, like in Mallrats with like the back of a Volkswagen joke. And they just kept doing it. And he sold it so well. I mean, obviously every week Cameron Grimes is the greatest thing on television. It's not much.
I mean, they really should do because they're calling him Hillbilly DiBiase, and that would be a great shirt. I'd buy that shirt in a second.
Dirty DiBiase.
Dirty DiBiase. That's great. That would be a great nickname. Scott, what's your mark out moment of the week?
Okay, so this morning, Jeff Cobb and Will Ospreay were in a tag team match, and man, they're just so good with each other. And I was freaking out about it and fantasy booking in my head, and
I gotta check it out.
Just thinking about how good Ospreay. I mean, dude, they got double team moves that just work, man. They're awesome, and yeah.
I can't wait.
No one cares about what's happening in Japan. So, Evan, continue to tell us what's happening in Korea again.
I can't wait, Scott. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about all your mark out moments. Robert?
Mine was the Kevin Owens video that he shot sitting in his car where, and this is being genuine, so it feels weird for me as per usual, but he decided to take a moment he talks about when he was in the Elimination Chamber and he looked up and realized how big the structure is and how hard it was to put together and how complex the Thunderdome is. And he took a moment just to thank all of the WWE production people. And having been in that world and having been back there and worked with these people, it's a completely thankless job. There's no credits when you're a producer. There's no credits when you're a writer. When you're working there, building the ring, building the set, building the Thunderdome, it is a grueling, thankless job. And for Kevin Owens to do that for no reason whatsoever, just to take a moment and just say, hey, I want to thank you all. We really do appreciate it, was something I never heard my entire tenure there. And I thought that was really classy and really great on Kevin Owens' part.
Evan, if you can't tell, Robert was traumatized. At WWE.
He just wants a thank you.
He wrote there and he still has PTSD from it.
You know that he looked at the TV and went, "You're welcome, Kevin. You're welcome.
When were you there? When were you there?
I was there 0506, so the hottest time in the history of wrestling, the Heidenreich era.
The kayfabe years,
Heidenreich
bro.
era.
The Heidenreich Legion of Doom era.
Actually,
Well, if
that
it makes
was
you
even
feel
before
any
then.
better, you worked at WWE and never got a thank you, and I worked at a slaughterhouse and never got a thank you. So
Were
most
you
of us
waiting
aren't
for
getting
the
thank yous.
animals?
That's just jobs.
That's just jobs.
Evan,
all right,
seriously, you can talk to Robert about his time at WWE, and you will cry more than every Von Erich visit you had.
All right, number 10. Number 10. The saddest moment. This is a fun one. It's a question I volleyed at y'all last week, and I asked Evan before he came on. But what is the saddest moment you've had personally as a fan? And I'm not talking about, when you saw Bruno Sammartino lose the title or something like that.
How
or
old
like,
do you think we are?
Yeah.
No, I'm not using that. But I'm just saying, like, what's this? And I guess I should start out first, right? Since
Wait, is it saddest or most embarrassing?
Most embarrassing. Sorry, not saddest. Most embarrassing.
Okay.
They're interchangeable for Dan.
Yeah, you're right. Saddest is the people in North Korea. Embarrassing is decisions you made throughout your life, which would be me. So this is the most embarrassing. I'm really hesitant to tell, especially this group, this.
Oh,
but I emailed.
This is from a guy who texts us every week. Raw was pretty good, huh? So get ready.
Mike's gonna kill me for this. I emailed Dave Meltzer's assistant 6 months ago and asked if I could vote for the Observer Awards and what qualified. And then I sent another follow-up email saying, what if I was hosting a successful wrestling podcast? And they still said no.
Was it an email or did he send you a typewriter written note?
It was in an email.
On loose leaf paper.
It was so pathetic. It was so pathetic. It was like during the thick of quarantine when I wanted to, I don't know, man. I don't have an excuse.
dude, I'm amazed he has an assistant. I mean,
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Have you not met Brian Alvarez?
It could be Meltzer. It could be something really funny about Dark Side of the Ring and Meltzer is Meltzer, like, you can tell he's way more excited by this season coming up, and I think it's because he's in it. Like, I think it's like, because literally last season he was like, yeah, it's good, but you could tell he was like kind of pissed. But no, this season the Melt is back, baby, and you're already seeing a push at the Observer, Husney.
He's great in it.
Do you vote? Do you vote for the awards?
I do. I'm the first wave. No, I'm just kidding. I don't vote.
More importantly, Evan, what was it like having small talk with Dave in between filming? Because I've had that before, and it's an interesting experience.
I actually dig it. It's because sometimes we'll tell them, whatever bizarre wrestling mystery we're onto, and I don't know. I kind of like nerding out with Dave.
What was it like for you, Robert? And what's your most embarrassing moment as a fan?
Talking to Meltzer. No, we were at Wale Mania, and I was sitting there. It was just my wife and I and Meltzer. So I'm talking to him for a little bit, and my wife tried to engage with him, not knowing who he is, like he's a normal person. And he just withdrew like a snail into a shell. And she was like looking at me, I'm like, you have to kind of treat him like with kid gloves a little bit. Unless you're talking about wrestling, you're not getting any response out of him. Embarrassing. So I have two. One of them is embarrassing in hindsight, but at the time was a huge gamble that paid off. When I was in high school, I realized I wanted to pad my resume for college. So I wanted to run for student government and for senior year. And they had us do our speeches in front of the entire senior class on stage. And I ripped off every wrestling promo I could think of. And it killed at the time. And now 20 years later, I realized I stood in front of my high school class quoting the Road Dogg, Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle, and The Rock. And the fact that I didn't get my ass kicked has given me false confidence for the rest of my life. The other embarrassing moment was, I may have told this on the Patreon real quick, when I was working at WWE. It was a Thursday night, and I turned on the TV to put on SmackDown, and someone walked by me and they go, "What the fuck are you doing?" It's like, it's Thursday. I'm putting on SmackDown. It's like, don't let anybody ever know that you watch the product ever. And it was at that moment I realized, like, this is going to be interesting.
That's a good one.
Dan, I did not forget your moment, because I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
Which is, what was the reason you really wanted to be on the voting committee? Is there like some injustice? Are you upset that like Hornswoggle wasn't in there or something?
No, I just want to be part of,
He believes in democracy, Mike.
I love it. I want to be, I've given up on being the Hollywood elite. I want to be part of the wrestling intelligentsia elite.
Wasn't there like a scandal with the voting or something, or people were up in arms about something last time? Or
they stormed the Capitol.
Actually, there are definitely some overlap.
They stormed Meltzer's. They stormed his office.
Hey man, that's what you get for not putting Sting on there.
No, but I thought I saw something where people
sad
were all
Hamilton room where it happens moment. But like you're Aaron Burr and Dave Meltzer is your Hamilton.
Did Kenny get on this year? Or was that he got in the Hall of Fame and people were pushing back on that
that's what
because they thought he was too. It was too early for him to get on into the Hall of Fame.
He paid the entry fee. He's allowed to get in. 2 8x10s. I need you to sign it for me and my son, who's also named Dave Meltzer.
Mike, what's the most embarrassing moment that you've had as a fan?
Well, yeah, I'll do the two quick. So the one was I used to have 2 TVs at my dad's place, and I would watch Raw while playing the matches I was watching on SmackDown. It's pretty sad.
That sounds fun, dude.
That sounds fun.
Yeah,
man.
dude.
All
that
right,
sounds
all
like let's hang out soon.
Yeah,
I might do that tonight during SmackDown.
Yeah, but this was like when Robert was writing on WWE. Like,
it still sounds fun.
But also, I was naked and trying to suck my own penis the whole time.
I actually have another story kind of like that.
And,
Michael Poffo Lawrence.
Thank you very much for that. And then the second was
Love Lanny.
I was backstage at a show. I opened for a guy, and CM Punk was backstage with AJ Lee. And I knew the second I told him I was a big fan, he would not respect me anymore. But I couldn't let him leave without him knowing that I was a big fan. Because we were talking for like 10 minutes and about comic books and different stuff. And then I was like, I just got to say, man, you're one of my favorite wrestlers ever. And he just goes, oh, thanks. I knew it would, like, because I've had the same thing happen with Jericho. I worked on a thing with Jericho. It's when wrestlers are in a place where they're not wrestling, they don't want to be near any wrestling fans.
They really don't.
You got to treat Punk like a cute girl. You had to neg him. You had to be like, hey, I've seen your career. You really could have done better. Would it killed you to have abs?
Would have killed you to have abs. Hit the gym, kid.
He saw my set. I still don't know what he thinks of it, but I think about it at least once a month, whether or not CM Punk thinks I'm funny.
You know, I've always hated Anthony Kiedis because he talked through my set, which is just a thought that I just had. Nothing to do with it. Yeah, it was really
He
gross.
talk where you just like on stage and you just heard hibbity-bit.
Yeah.
This guy's not funny.
I gotta say he's got issues with his mama. I gotta say he's got issues with his papa.
All right, well, here's another thing that I did. I don't know if this is Barris Wrestling, but I did like an 8-ball of cocaine, and then I read like the WWE magazine for like 5 hours straight while trying to jerk off, but like not jerking off the WWE magazine, jerking off to the porn that was on. But I was also trying to read about Triple H's comeback. Apparently Triple H's favorite movie is, favorite TV show is Grey's Anatomy. Something I learned that day. Anyway, I've been sober for a while.
Yeah, there's also all those times Dan was blackout and told people he was the Jake the Snake Roberts of comedy that he's just forgotten about.
All right, Scott. It's what it has to be, Dan. When we hired quotation mark Missy Hyatt for an open mic. That has to be you and my saddest moment. Evan, would you like to hear the story?
Yeah, please. Might be
So
a
we
future
did
episode.
a show. We did like a comedy, like Lethal Lottery thing where two comics would be put like a battle bowl thing. So, and we asked Missy Hyatt if she would do it, and she says yes to everything, not just 90s wrestlers in their locker rooms. And so she shows up, and it was so weird. She like co-hosted the whole open mic. And then we told her like, hey, we don't have any money. We're sorry. But like that weird moment at the end, like, thanks for your time.
Oh my God.
What did her pimp say?
Oh my God. Scott.
She's very nice. She was very nice.
She was very nice, Robert. Scott, I gotta collect myself. Scott, what is your most embarrassing moment as a fan?
I got John Cena's autograph when I was in the 8th grade, and as I was walking away, I think it was like on a Saturday, and then as I was walking away, I said, "I'll see you Monday," and he said, "What?" And I said, "I'll see you Monday," and he goes, "What? What are you talking about?" And I said, "Oh, because I watch Raw," and he goes, "Oh yeah, all right, man."
That is the worst one.
That crushed my
that is the
spirit.
saddest one.
And then you guys remember we were at Starcast and we're fucking hanging out backstage feeling like big dogs, right? With Hangman Adam Page and stuff. And Omega was in the corner signing Funko Pops or something. And some guy was talking to him and then got a picture. So, you know, everyone was like, hey, I think James Mattern comic, he was with us too. And he was like, go talk to Omega, get a picture with him. And I walked up to him and he was just immediately turned off. I didn't really know why. I told him, you know, I thought he was great. I asked if I could have a photo and he said he was busy, that he had to sign the Funko Pops. And then I said, okay, and walked away and looked down and realized I was wearing a Kenny Omega shirt.
Oh my God.
I was with you for this. I can confirm
the
story, and I can confirm the 30 minutes before of Scott just be like, can I? Just like slinking back to me and going, I did. Like Scott going over there was the moment when they were like, can we get security here?
Oh, dude. Yeah. Crazy. Dude, but anyway, I actually felt worse for Brutus Beefcake that night. I mean, nobody spoke to that guy. That was rough, dude. I was like, I was trying to hang out with him just to make him feel good.
Dude, I didn't make eye contact when I was roasting him on stage.
That was
that was really good.
I won't say who Bruce said this about. Bruce Pritchard said that about, but we were in the auditorium and there was a guy, nobody was coming up to him, and I'm like, oh, I feel bad for him. And he's like, why? He's like, I don't know, because nobody's going up to him. He goes, fuck him.
Why is he so mean to Conrad?
Evan, we've totally forgot to ask, what's your saddest moment as a wrestling fan? What is it?
Oh man, well, it's kind of a mixture of being, you know, a sad and a good moment at the same time, but also making a little bit of a fool of myself as a young fan. But so I had this opportunity to meet Steve Austin when I was 11. My dad was able to hook it up. Do you guys remember Stone Cold Metal? Did you guys ever had that CD?
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, so he had the Stone Cold Metal CD out. My dad was involved in the music business, you know, around the time, and so he got a chance for me to meet him. So I was decked out in full Stone Cold Steve Austin gear. This is like probably 1998, and I go up to him, and I'm so nervous. I get my poster signed, and I'm like, oh my god, petrified. But I knew I had to leave an impression. Like I had to just like you were saying with like CM Punk, like I had to let him know what I thought and tried to connect with him in some other way. And so I went up to him and just was like, hey, so my friends are wondering, like, what do you think of Bill Goldberg? And my dad was actually rolling on this. I actually have footage of this that we're gonna put out soon. But he responded just being like, yeah, I think he's copying me, and you know, he's doing a pretty good job of it, but he's got to make a living too. And he did a really good job of like, talking to a kid in that way. And then like, I was just like, my mind was blown like that, because you never heard WCW and WWF like talk about each other like in that way, but here it was. Right. And so then I like walked away and I like left my poster behind, and they had to like track me down, like give me the posters that he signed. And then flash forward to like 5 or 6 years ago, I was on a flight I think it was from New York to LA. And all of a sudden, as I'm walking down like the tarmac thing or whatever, I start hearing Steve's voice, and I'm like, holy shit, he's going to be on this fucking plane. And he was like in first class. And I was like, oh my God. And the whole time I was thinking about like, I need to tell him that like I met him at one point when I was a kid. And, and I was like, so like just caught up in the like moment of this. So I sit down in my seat and I actually made the flight attendant. This is like sad that this is like 5 or 6 years ago. I made the flight attendant like pass him a note that like because I really wanted
what a scary thing to get if you're on a flight. Here's a note from a guy in the back who says he really likes you.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like handwritten on like a flight attendant like on like a napkin, like an airplane. And it was just like such like serial killer behavior. But
that was the plane ride from hell for him.
It was.
It'd be amazing if he sent the letter back and there were different what's written in the letter. Hi, what? My name is what?
Evan, is this why you have to travel around the country in a Winnebago? Are you on like a no-fly list? Because
yeah, pretty much. But he was like, and then after that, I got the flight, and of course, I'm like, I really wanted that side-by-side photo. That was the whole reason, like the social media narcissism. Like I wanted the like me and him as when I was 11, and me and him now, and yeah, it was a total botchamania.
He's on this season though, right? He's in season 3.
Yes, he is. He's on season 3, and so I had a chance officially to right that wrong. And I did film a little piece with him about the Goldberg thing, and it was really amazing because I'm sure like when I told him I was a fan, he was kind of like, oh, but he did comment on that experience and was glad that he had something positive, semi-positive to say about Goldberg. But it was cool. It's this cool little thing, this piece we're going to put out of like coming full circle, which is really weird. That is like the weirdest part of making the show.
Let's get to the plugs. Evan, you're going to be back when Dark Side here, but Dark Side of the Ring season 2 you can get on demand somewhere, I'm guessing. Where?
Yeah, it's on the iTunes and the Amazon and the Hulu and all that stuff.
Great. And Mr. Karpeles, what do you have to promote this week, sir?
You can follow me on Twitter at WWCreative_ISH, and happy Purim to all my Jewish friends. I found out that's it's Purim now, and I'm a terrible Jew for not knowing that until 20 minutes before we went on.
Mr. Michael Lawrence.
I will be outside with Scott at a Jacksonville hotel room waiting for Kenny to leave.
That's amazing.
Mike Lawrence comedy on Instagram, and that's also my website. Yeah, buy my album.
Scotty.
Listen to my other podcast, Garbage Days with Brendan Sagalow, and then follow me at Scott_Chaplin.
I am at DSOTR.net. That's all my videos. You can get my albums there. But most importantly, please subscribe to the podcast. Tell people about it. Leave a review, a positive review, a 5-star review. For this week's Patreon, pretty simple. It's just going to be me and Robert and whoever else can make it. And I believe Scott's can make it. Talking about SmackDown. So we're just going to be reviewing this Friday
and other wrestling shit.
Yes. Well, this Saturday though is just SmackDown.
But also, I mean, no. Patreon. We're also talking Moxley, Kenta.
Okay, yeah, let's talk Moxley, Kenta. And...
Fine, we will. But quite frankly, what happens is by the time we record this show, SmackDown is like a week old, and it's the best wrestling show the last several weeks, and we kind of want to give it a little love, which means this week's episode is going to be absolute dog shit. Like, we're going to curse it, and it's going to be terrible. It's going to be a 20-minute Otis promo.
Hey, man. Depending on how that goes. Depending on how that goes, they could give him like a Jacob Goodnight character if no one's seen the underrated Criterion masterpiece See No Evil,
Ooh.
And next week we have we're roasting the big show. So tune in next week, guys. Have a good one.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.